You're listening to Startup Stories on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
Oh yeah, and we're trying to tell you stories about those who've believed in their idea enough to actually take that leap of faith and then hope for the wings to flap furiously and for them to fly. Today, of course, there's there's something very, very interesting that we'll talk to you about. There's music, there's parenting, there's a lot of food for thought actually. But I could tell you what I've read on the internet. But we've got Nitin here with us. He runs Parentune, and he's the one who thought it up. So it's only proper that we do the 11th standard exam and say hello, good morning, Nitin.
It's such a pleasure and honor to be here with you.
That's the pleasure is entirely ours. But describe Parentune in a sentence, a paragraph, whatever, so that we can feel that we are giving you an examination paper.
So Parentune is a 24/7 helpline for parents, and when parents have a doubt or they have a query, they don't need to worry anymore because they have a trustworthy and a prompt support available with Parentune. So that's what Parentune is.
Excellent. And when did this idea sort of take hold strongly enough for you to actually take that leap of faith?
So it's interesting, Sarthak, right? There's a backstory to the backstory.
Okay. Wonderful.
So this actually happened when I used to work in the FMCG segment, and I used to take classes on weekends. So I used to go to B schools to teach brand management, consumer behavior.
Oh, I see.
And, during that time, I used to really enjoy those sessions.
Right.
And, so I looked at education to make impact. And the students would just, come back, give me feedback. So that's how, I was introduced to the entire education scene.
Right.
And then it happened so that I was approached by an education company while I was at L'Oreal. And they said, okay, we are looking for a business head and we are starting preschools in India. So I moved to, that mission because I really liked the fact that, we could make an impact early on because we become who we are as children. We are outgrown children, today. So
That's
I thought,
a lovely thing to remember, actually. We are who we are because we became that as when we were children. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I found that really compelling. And I thought, this is what I would like to do. So I took my time, but then I took a plunge. And that plunge completely changed my, course of life from there on. So I started these preschool chains in India. We went on to becoming like the largest preschool chain in the world. And this was when India didn't have preschools. So this was by far the first. And while I was doing that, I used to do these circle times every day when parents used to drop their children to the preschool or came to pick them up.
Right.
So we used to have these circle times. I used to just sit in the circle and just ask them 3 questions. And those questions used to be, okay, what are your challenges? What keeps you up in the night? How do you tackle them today? And then what do you miss? What do you wish for?
Right.
And I listened that, like, imagine every day, Monday to Saturday to Sunday,
Wow.
listening to that. And then that happened for 4.5 years in 2 of my stints in education company.
Sure.
One of them we took to an IPO. And of course, that brought in a lot of accolades, popularity. And then it was like, okay, what is that I want to do? And I always wanted to, solve the problems which were unsolved from all those circle times. And there was one commonality between them, which was that for academics, there were a lot of solutions. When it came to, parenting, challenges which parents faced while raising a child, which by far is like one of the toughest, responsibilities.
Sure. Absolutely.
So there was nothing at that point in time. So I thought, next job. Next job.
Yeah.
I found the next job. I'm going to do this next. Fortunately or unfortunately, there were no jobs. So,
So you had to take the reins yourself
Absolutely.
and make that thought gallop. And where that galloping thought went is what we'll know once we get back. But people can find you on the internet, I'm assuming, yes?
Yes.
What's the website, etc., etc.?
It's parentune.com, parentune.com. We are the number 1 app, so you won't miss us on the Play Store.
You won't even have to scroll. It's there. So if you want to know more, that's where you go while we take a break. And if you've got questions, please feel free. Sarthak from Radio, that's my Instagram ID. I'll make sure that they get to know and hopefully answer as well. We're taking a break, coming right back, okay?
You're listening to Startup Stories on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And what a wonderful thing you're doing, listening to stories, because stories, that's what we are, all of us, no? Stories. And it's important to remember that. It's also important to remember that sometimes it's a great idea to be inspired by those who've decided to take a leap of faith as far as their, ideas are concerned. And today, of course, talking about that leap of faith is the wonderful Nitin. He runs Parentune, which is a 24/7 helpline for parenting. And, we've been listening to your wonderful story about how during a stint with a preschool, you realize that it's the parents also who need a lot of support, not just about about where to do what with the child, but also about themselves. No, there was a wonderful psychiatrist that I knew. He said something beautiful when we were very, very concerned about whether we were being good caregivers. He said that it is important to give yourself time, because unless you are in the right frame of mind, you'll never be able to give care the way it's meant to be. So self-care, I think, is a very important thing, and that's one of the pillars as far as what you do stands for as well. Though you care, charity does begin at home, didn't it?
So yeah, that's true, Sarthak. One of the things which we realized when we were looking at solving parents' issues were that all these stats from mental health which were coming out, they had a startling number. It said that 60% of mental health cases were those of parents. And that was a big number. So like you said, it is really tough being a parent.
And I've seen, if you were to see over the years, I think parental guilt has become such an underrated pandemic of thought, so to speak, because there's this constant flow of information, because we're living in a 24/7 world, and I've known new parents who are constantly asking themselves if they're doing enough, and sometimes not even being trained, I feel very obliged to tell them that there are two lines. The first line says, "Are you doing enough?" And the second line says, "Are you doing too much?" I mean, there has to be a middle path, no?
That's true. But it's like you said, Sarthak, it's really tough.
Yeah.
And, one of the big challenges for parents today is this overload of information.
Yeah.
And these conflicting, suggestions which come in dime a dozen from everywhere.
Exactly.
And for the parent, it is just not about, doing it, but it is about doing it right.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know when you're doing it for the first time, especially as a first-time parent, that what you're doing for your child is right for your child?
Yeah.
And they say that, each child is unique. So is each parenting, right? So how do you bring that together and you still do what is right for your child? That's really challenging.
It's also exceedingly sensitive what you do, because, as you said, every one case is unique. So how do you address that problem? Because a little bit of homogeneity, I'm sure, must come in the way that you deal with it. So first of all, in this one, let's treat with what you do. What happens when a parent logs on to parentune.com? What happens then?
Right. So first thing, Sarthak, is that when you get onboarded on Parentune, we get to know, okay, how old is your child? What are your top 3 concerns or interest areas for your child? And we start personalizing Parentune right from the word go. So you don't see these conflicting thoughts, you don't see confusing signals, you see what is right for your child. And we do something which is called daily focus. So you come in, even if you have a minute, you just see what is important for your child today. And we mapped for the first 7 years of every child, day by day, what do you need to know about your child's health, mental health, growth, developmental milestones, even learning, which is off academics. All of that is mapped. So from a parent's perspective, the journey starts really personalized. And then after that, when you have queries, you can talk to a fellow parent. All the parents are verified on the platform, and we have millions of parents now on Parentune, right?
Right.
So you can connect with parents near you. You can connect with parents who have children of the same age group, and you can talk to them anytime, right? And you can choose to be anonymous if you don't want, to be talking about sensitive things.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike social media, all your privacy is completely protected on Parentune.
Sure.
Then, if you have a question which is, related to some expertise, you can talk to experts. So we have 520 doctors on Parentune who are right from a pediatrician, a gynecologist, a child psychologist, pulmonologist, obstetrician, all of them, they're available to help a parent. So you can ask a question and you get responded within minutes.
Excellent.
We solve 96% of the queries received every day in under 45 minutes.
Sure. And then, of course, because it is important to play the devil's advocate, we'll come back from this short little break and ask you about how do you ensure all of this, because this is an exceedingly sensitive issue for everyone who would want to know something about it. So all of that coming. If you've got questions, please feel free. Sarthak from Radio is where you find me. If you want to ask the questions directly, it's parentune.com. That's parentune.com. Have I got it right?
Absolutely.
Is there an Instagram page as well?
There's an Instagram page called Parentune Live.
There we go. So that's where you go. Where we go is to do a short little break and then we come back, okay?
You're listening to Startup Stories on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And we are trying to tell you the stories of those who've decided to take that leap of faith, who've decided to back an idea all the way to the hilt, leaving a cushy job in FMCG and treading the decidedly thorny territory of parenting. That's what Nitin decided to do with Parentune. Difficult decision to make though, Nitin. I mean, considering exactly how sensitive, emotional, thorny this the first time parenting aspect can be.
Yeah, it was tough. And in fact, I was not even looking to start up. I was just looking for my next job. But since this was so compelling and there was no other option but to start up, it was no man's land. I had to start up.
But did you have a plan? I mean, considering that in a salary you tend to get money, and in a startup you tend to spend money. So was there a plan?
Yeah, I mean, I had never planned for all the money to go, but that's that's what happened, Sarthak. But yeah, I mean, when I was starting, actually, it gave me a lot of shivers. So I thought I need to, although I have interacted a lot with parents, I need to go back and get my research done properly.
Sure.
And that is where my earlier research background really helped with consumer research. So I went back to parents. And if you can believe, I started meeting parents in their houses without a job because I had quit my job.
Sure.
And I used to go with a handycam, no team, right? So I used to go with a handycam or tripod, put it up there, request them with folded hands, can I please record? I promise you I will not use this video anywhere else, but I can't write and talk to you both.
Right.
So like this, I started meeting parents in their houses. They would call more parents from neighboring houses and I started talking to them just to be sure that what I'm doing is actually what is required for the world,
sure,
right?
Of course.
And that's how it started. I ended up meeting 2,000 parents.
Wow.
And it took me 45 days. Went to different cities because some friend would say, okay, you've been in brands. How can you generalize a solution basis just Delhi NCR?
So there is, of course, on the one hand, gathering research, and then there is trying to convince those living in an increasingly cynical and dangerous world about, exposing their child or the information about their child online anonymously, and we all know how difficult and dangerous that place is. So what are those comfort factors that you give to a new parent who might be very, very hesitant in using what essentially is an anonymous service, so to speak?
Right. So you said it rightly. One of the big starting point for us was how do we curate a community which is of verified parents. So if you see, Parentune is now the largest such base of verified members anywhere in the world.
Sure.
And there are more than 3 million verified parents, which means that they verified their details, their identity, their phone numbers, and their personal details. But why do we need this? We need this to personalize for them. But can other parents see this data? No. So unlike other social platforms where you can see something about someone else, here parents can mask all the details.
And how is it? I mean, you're using technology for that?
We use technology for this, and we are one of the few most awarded tech startups from India.
I see.
And in fact, one of our awards was for personalization, which we won back in 2016, and Wall Street Journal picked Parentune as a global startup showcase.
Oh wow!
Okay. So we use a lot of tech to power personalization, verification, and safety. So a parent at no point of time compromises their personal details, and they don't have to share any details about their child.
And what about the experts that you work with?
So all the experts also need to be verified,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't just come on Parentune and open their account.
Right.
So they need to fill a proper onboarding form. We speak to them, we check on their degrees, their experience. Then we do what we call a shadow work for at least 15 days.
Okay.
So for the first 15 days, they contribute content. We see whether they agree with the philosophy.
Sure.
Sometimes, doctors can be tough.
Hmm.
And on Parentune, judgment is not okay. So we don't judge parents, we support parents.
Sure.
So we check on those things
Sure.
and then we onboard them.
Yeah, judgment. Judgment can be tough. I think we can all write that down somewhere as a lesson that we've learned today. But there's more questions to ask first. But if you want to know more about Parentune, all you need to do is log on to parentune.com. That's Parentune. It's also on Instagram. So yeah, you go. We take a break and then come right back. Okay.
You're listening to Startup Stories on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And we are trying to tell you stories of those who believed enough in their ideas to actually go ahead and flap their wings furiously so that, the idea could fly. And the man who's been flapping those educational wings furiously is Nitin. He's here because he runs a startup called Parentune. They've been featured on Wall Street Journal. They've been one of the most awarded apps in the category. Filled bookshelves and filled award shelves, Nitin. They mean a lot, but I think the appreciation of a new parent who's just found out that there's an easier way to do what they do must be very gratifying, no?
Yeah, it is. It is really satisfying.
But there's of course love, fresh air, making the society a better place, and then there's electricity bills, laptop charges, reimbursements. So what's the money scene like?
I mean, we started with own bootstrapped classic way. I put in all my savings. That's where most of the
Money.
savings went.
Yeah.
And then we raised a couple of VC rounds. We've been lucky to be funded by some of the best funds in the country.
Right.
But at the same point of time, we monetized after the first 4.5 years, Sarthak.
Wow.
So it took us to build the community, hang on, believe in what we were building.
Sure.
And once that was in place, then we started raising money.
And what's the costing like for Parentune? I mean, do parents have to pay? What do they pay? How do they pay? Etc. Etc.
So Parentune is a freemium model wherein you enter, you need to verify your account. We personalize Parentune to you. And then there are various subscriptions. So you can choose to take one of the subscription. You can take what we call a Parentune Pro or a Parentune Plus.
Right.
And basically you save a lot of money if you take a subscription. But let's say you're new on the platform, we'll give you some credits so that you can experience it. And then after that you can even pay on the go. But it's free to join.
Okay.
For parents in multiple languages, and it's free for everyone.
Sure. So there is an initial step of verification, and then what do these gratis services include?
So number one is you get expert authored verified content.
Okay.
Which is in two form. One is in form of courses. So we have now got more than 6,000 hours of course material.
Right.
Because they don't teach parenting anywhere, do they? So
yeah, that's true.
so we thought, let us first solve that. Our community told us that we would want to know hands-on ways of, for example, breastfeeding. I am a new mom. How do I go about that? How do I introduce my child to various semi-solids or solid food at what point of time?
Sure.
How do I tackle when my child is in isolation, is not speaking to someone? To then my child is under a lot of pressure because of exams. Now, what do I do as a parent? So there are courses for as simple as 5 minutes to an hour also,
Sure.
depending on how much detail you want to go
Of course.
into. Then you can ask a question to a doctor anytime. You can take the chat-based service. You can take the video calling consultation.
Sure.
So that's the second. The third is in form of basically combining all of these three together and issuing what we call the subscription for you.
Sure. Excellent. So if you want to know more, all you need to do is head to parentune.com. That's Parentune.com, or the Instagram site and see if it works for you. And if you do try, well, remember, you heard it on 94.3 Radio 1. Nitin, this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much for being so generous and honest with your answers and to have so generously shared what you have gained as knowledge.
Thank you, Sarthak. It's a fan moment for me because I've been following you for I think 11 years since I came to Gurgaon.
Oh man,
and it's such an honor to be sitting in your presence. I think you just made my day. Thank you so much.
Very, very kind of you. And now with that, while I savor that breakfast of compliments, you go and take a break. We'll be back, okay?